I guess you might consider this part of the blooper reel, but apparently the apparently the ratchet straps work a little too well, because I had this crate sitting sitting next to the trailer when I locked the other part of the load down, and it decided to come along with me. Oh boy. I don't know if you consider this cheating or not, but it's working. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Farming Simulator 2017 Tutorial Edition. Today we're going to be talking about how and when to fertilize your fields. There's a couple ways you can go about it. One is to use the solid fertilizer, which is used with a device like so, or liquid. Now there are two other ways, and that's with manure. One is a liquid manure and one's a solid manure, but you have to have animals in order to do that, so we're not going to go into that, but all you have to do is just load those up with a tractor or by pulling it into a pit with the slurry tank and refueling them that way. But most likely when you're starting out, you're going to be doing it this way. There is one more option, in which is this seeder right here. This is the one that you start off with. This actually seeds and fertilizes at the same time. Okay, now that we've covered the basics, let's go ahead and open up the menu. And as you can see right here, fertilizer states. Now, if you have it set at 1, which is default, when you fertilize with the seeder that the game gives you off the beginning, all it does is it seeds and fertilizes, and you get maximum yield. You're done. You don't have to worry about it. But now if you want to click on 3 states, this is a little different, because now that we're on 3 states, it's going to have to be fertilized every growth cycle. So when you lay it down with this one per se, it's going to fertilize it the first time. But on the next growth state, you're going to have to come back with something similar to one of these two. Alright, now these devices, however, need to be filled. And you can fill them by using, depending on which type it is, either a pallet that looks like this, which this is for the solid fertilizer, or a pallet that looks like this. Now this is for the liquid fertilizer. But they both load in the same fashion. And I shall demonstrate that for you now. Next, you're going to need a front end loader of some sort, whether it be a tractor attachment or a skid steer or anything of the sort. And what you're going to want to do is grab a pallet. And you can do this multiple ways. You can either set these alongside the field, pull the tractor up to it and refuel it that way. Or if it's multiplayer or you want to just grab the loader, you can actually approach, like say the seeder, and see how the flaps open. Now you can either, if somebody's in the tractor, they can start refueling it from this location, or if you're doing this single player, all you have to do is just lift up the pallet, bring it over to the top, and fill your implement. And as I'll demonstrate, that's with the seeder. And since we're using solid fertilizer, see how the lid popped up? Same thing. And then of course once the pallet runs out, it automatically disappears and you have to grab another one if the device isn't full. Now there is another, I should also demonstrate, 1 second. Okay, now I shall demonstrate with the liquid crate that it is exactly the same way. You can either set it alongside the field somewhere and just drive the tractor over, refuel, or if you need refueling on the go, you can pull up next to it and then the person can directly refuel from here, which I guess I should actually get into the tractor and show you. Select that one. Let's detach that. Okay, now so we have 868 liters. Now we have 973. Of course, I stopped it because I wanted to demonstrate that you can also refuel it by doing it just like the other one. And see that the pallet just went down to 800. Now if we get back into this tractor, there, it is now completely filled. But there is one more option, and I know this is kind of maybe monotonous, but there is another option, and that is with only the liquid, or excuse me, with the solid fertilizer, and I'll demonstrate that in just a second. Okay, and one more option is if you don't have the silo mod, or you don't want to use it because you don't want to pay the extra price for it, there is another option, and that is to take one of your pallets in a trailer and just fill the trailer. Now, you can pull up to any field that you would like with that said trailer. And this, I should mention, will require a front end loader. This is one of the really cool things about Farming Simulator 2017, I should say one, that is, really cool thing about it is you can now unload anywhere. So you can set this pile right next to the field that you're working at, and it's kind of a makeshift makeshift silo. And then one thing about doing it this way though is you will have to open the cover manually like so, because it won't automatically do it when you pull up to it with the bucket. And I shall demonstrate now exactly what I'm talking about. Alright, now that you got some sort of front end loader with a bucket on it, you can go over to your pile of fertilizer. Just scoop up as much as you want. Return to your actual fertilizer spreader. And fill it. There you have it. That's kind of the A to Z of how to fill your implements. And now I should talk about the actual time when you should do it. Alright, now if you have it set to where you have to fertilize the field 3 times, if you use this, like I mentioned before, the first time it'll fertilize it as you plant the seeds. But there are other seeders out there that it just seed. So you'll have to use one of these other methods to fertilize the first time around. And then, like I said, the next time around you're going to have to do it with the first growth spurt. And the way to keep track of that is if you go into where the map is and have it where it says right here, fertilized, it'll show you. See, now that field is fully matured and it's been fertilized 3 times, so it's dark blue. This one's just been seeded and fertilized the first time, so it's light blue. And if you see over here, there's 3 different shades. That way you can keep track of what stage you're on or what step you need to do next. And also, if you get lost on it, you can just throw some fertilizer on here, and if it doesn't change the color of it, then you know that you've already done it for that growth cycle. Okay, now we'll jump ahead to the next growth cycle and show you exactly what I mean. Okay, as you can see here, we're at the very first growth state. And if you go back to the map and zoom in, it's still light blue. But now if we jump into our tractor, like so, and since we've been given the solid fertilizer a lot of attention, let's go ahead and use the liquid. Especially these ones are really inexpensive and covers a lot of area. Alright, to start off with, I'm going to do just approximately half of this section that I've planted. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. And of course, as you're laying it down, you can see it's changing color. Okay, I'll speed up this a little bit. Okay, now that I've completed that first pass, I'll go ahead and go back into the map and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Now we see right here, this is where we fertilized the first time, and now we're in the second growth state. We fertilized again, and you can see that it's now this shade. So when you're in the next growth state and you fertilize again, it will be dark blue, just like this field is here, and you know you've done it properly. Like I said, if you don't want to worry about all that, you can go just ahead and select. Actually, matter of fact, it is defaulted to one stage. But as you also may have noticed, I like to have crop destruction on. But with this stage, you have to actually, with 3 stages, you actually have to fertilize it 3 times. But that also means driving across your crops. Now, if you don't have that mod downloaded, don't worry about it. But if you do, and you want to keep it on, but you still want to fertilize your field and don't take a big swath down the middle of it, the people that created the mod, and I can't remember if it's by Giants or not, it may be, but don't quote me on that. They've actually thought about this in advance. Since you can now modify your tractors, see how this one has the narrow wheels on it? Yeah, this guy, and I think also I've heard of referred to as crop tires, if I'm not mistaken. Now that you have these installed, you don't have to jump your tractor. That's just kind of something that happened. And if you have these installed, you can now fertilize your crops without having to worry about destroying them. Okay, and something else I should mention is that in settings, if you hire somebody to do it, you can also avoid having to refill your seeder by simply leaving it at the default setting where it says to buy. But this is going to cost you a lot more because you're going to pay for the helper and also for him to purchase the seed and fertilizer as he goes, or the fertilizer if he's just fertilizing the field. So you can simply just go to each one of these and turn them off if you wish. Or if you're using, and I apologize for not going into this because it's a much more advanced part because you have to actually have animals. But if you're using a slurry tanker or a manure spreader, you can actually set it to where they refill from the cow slurry tank, if you have any, pig slurry tank, or the biogas plant. When you dump it in there, it makes fertilizer as well. And also, or it can just flat out buy it. And the exact same thing for the manure spreader, except for there's no biogas option. One quick note as well, guys, is that if you guys want to use this big fertilizer, yeah, unfortunately, even though these tires are really thin, yeah, it doesn't work. Unfortunately, it still destroys the crop. So go ahead and avoid that mod if you're wanting to use this, or like some of the tankers, or actually I think all the tankers, the trailers, yeah, none of them have thin tires. So the only way you can get away with it is if you're going to use the hitch mount fertilizer. Alright, that pretty much covers it. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I kind of apologize if this seemed to be kind of a rushed video or kind of a hack job. I really didn't have as much time on it as I would like. I'll probably will remake this video in the future and then cover all aspects and be a little bit more prepared. But again, I do apologize for it, but if it gave you the information you need, then that's great. I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. Quick example: crop destruction, no crop destruction.